Welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Vox Agent is made by AI for business executives that work with AI. Today, we're doing something a bit different. It's a custom-tailored deep dive, really, just for you, our listener. What we're trying to do is cut through a whole heap of information. There are research reports, internal guides, lots of stuff. And the mission. Pull out the absolute critical insights for you. We want you to really get how organizations are tackling this huge challenge of skilled shortages, especially with AI moving so fast.
Yeah, and it's definitely not just some theoretical thing we're discussing. The urgency, the scale of it.
Yeah.
It's actually quite startling when you dig in. What we're seeing is these new technologies, AI especially, they're just racing ahead.
Yeah.
And existing workforce capabilities, they're struggling to keep up. It's not slow change anymore. It's really fundamental.
Yeah.
Makes upskilling, well, it's not optional. It's become a crucial strategic challenge.
All right, yeah, let's unpack that. Because when you look at the actual numbers, what's really driving this huge global push for upskilling, the data is pretty stark. Our sources are showing this massive global skills shortage. 77% of employers in 2023, that's a huge majority, said they're struggling to find the skilled people they really need.
77%. That's almost 4 out of 5.
Exactly. And it gets, kind of more alarming when you look ahead. Korn Ferry, for instance, they're projecting this potential global shortage. Over 85 million tech workers short by 2030.
85 million.
Yeah.
That's a number that's hard to even wrap your head around.
It really is. And think about the economic impact of that. We could be talking trillions, literally trillions of dollars in unrealized revenue. It's not just a statistic for a report, is it? It's this huge wave hitting business leaders everywhere.
Precisely. And what's really key here, I think, isn't just the number of missing skills. It's the speed. The sheer pace at which the skills people have right now are becoming, obsolete. It's driven by just relentless tech change.
Yeah.
AI, robotics, new software, they're constantly changing what jobs require.
Right.
We talk about this concept, the half-life of technical skills. How long before half of what you know is outdated? And now, it's shockingly short, under 5 years for many tech skills.
Under 5 years.
And for some really specialized areas. It could be as low as 2.5 years.
Wow.
So think about what that means for your business, right? If your team's core knowledge could be half as relevant in just, say, 3 years, this isn't just about hiring differently. It's about fundamentally rethinking talent strategy, career paths, everything. Upskilling stops being just a training line item. It becomes this constant R&D effort for your people.
That is a profound shift. You're essentially saying skills are expiring assets now. It forces a whole new way of thinking. So the tech pressure is huge, undeniable. But you mentioned it's not the only thing pushing this.
Not at all.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting, this massive push. It's also deeply connected to employee expectations, what people actually want from work. Our research showed something quite amazing. 94% of workers, 94%, said they'd stay longer at a company if it invested in their career development.
Yeah, like everyone.
Yeah, almost everyone. So it's not just about filling a skills gap from the company side. It totally reframes the value proposition for employers. It's a huge magnet for talent. And maybe even more critical, it keeps the talent you already have, especially now when it's so competitive. Ignoring this, you're not just risking a skills gap, you're risking people walking out the door.
That's a great point. It becomes a retention tool as much as a capability builder.
So, okay, we have these huge pressures, tech change, skills gaps, employee demands. What does this actually look like in practice then? How are the companies leading the way actually, designing these programs? What's the blueprint for success?
Well, it tends to start with a pretty clear strategic framework. It's not random. First, these organizations are getting really good at identifying the critical skill gaps they already have. They use analytics, sometimes quite sophisticated tools, to pinpoint exactly where the needs are. The usual suspects. AI, machine learning, but also data analytics, cybersecurity, cloud computing. Those are huge.
Right, finding the specific pain points first.
Exactly. Then, once they know the gaps, they design very targeted learning programs. And crucially, these aren't generic one-size-fits-all things. They're tailored for adult learners, often using a blended approach. So online courses, maybe intensive workshops, and really important on-the-job training. Practical application.
Makes sense. Theory and practice combined.
Yeah, and we're seeing more companies set up their own internal academies, like a dedicated data science academy or a cloud university right inside the company, built specifically to grow that expertise internally.
Like internal universities almost.
Kind of, yeah. And technology is the absolute backbone of all this. You need platforms Learning management systems, LMS, integrated with huge digital libraries, think LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, plus collaboration tools people already use. It delivers and tracks it all at scale.
And when you say technology, I imagine it's more than just hosting videos and tracking completion rates, right? How are the really cutting-edge technologies changing the experience of learning itself?
Oh, absolutely. That's where the really exciting innovation is happening. AI and analytics aren't just finding the gaps anymore. They're actively recommending personalized learning paths to individuals. It's almost like, yeah, Netflix for learning, suggesting what you should learn next based on your role, your goals.
Tailored suggestions.
Exactly. And some systems could even adapt the difficulty in real time. If you're finding it easy, it gets harder. If you're struggling, it adjusts, makes it super efficient. And it's not just digital screens. Virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, they're becoming transformative.
Ah, VR and AR for training. Tell me more about that.
It's about immersion, making learning really experiential. So, for example, VR surgical training. Surgeons can practice complex operations hundreds of times. Zero risk. Builds muscle memory, proficiency, much faster.
Wow, risk-free practice. That's powerful.
Or in manufacturing, imagine putting on AR glasses, and they overlay instructions right onto the machine you're learning to fix. Step-by-step guidance. Visually, it blends the training right into the actual task. It's about compressing learning time, making it stick, turning, years of traditional learning into potentially weeks.
That's incredible. It really moves it beyond just passive learning to active doing. And you mentioned these aren't just small experiments. The scale of commitment we're seeing from major companies is
Well,
massive.
oh, it's huge. These are multi-billion-dollar bets, essentially. Look at Amazon's Upskilling 2025. It's a $1.2 billion pledge. They aim to retrain 300,000 of their own employees.
300,000 people.
Yeah, in high-demand fields, fundamentally shifting roles internally. Or IBM's Skills Build. They're aiming to skill 30 million people globally by 2030. That goes way beyond their own workforce.
30 million globally.
It's impacting whole communities.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's PwC. They announced a $3 billion global program. New World, New Skills.
Mm-hmm.
That's to upskill all 275,000 of their own staff in digital skills and develop tools to help clients and others too. These aren't just training budgets anymore. They're strategic shifts, a recognition that your workforce is the competitive edge and it needs constant, serious investment.
Okay, so the investment is clearly enormous. The ambition is huge. But let's get down to brass tacks. Beyond the big announcements, what are the actual tangible results? What's the return on investment, the ROI, that companies are actually seeing? Is it really paying off?
That is the critical question, isn't it? And the data suggests, yes, absolutely. The benefits are real, they're quantifiable, and they hit the bottom line. Let's break down a few concrete examples we found. First off, productivity and performance. Big one. AT&T had that huge Future Ready program. Retrained about 100,000 employees. They reported a 45% boost in team productivity specifically from those retrained folks.
45%. That's huge.
It's massive. And Schneider Electric, after their digital upskilling push, saw a 15% improvement in how fast they delivered projects globally. So, more capable workforce equals more efficient work. Simple as that.
Right. Better skills, better output. Makes sense.
Second big area, cost savings and ROI. It's often way cheaper to upskill someone you already have than to hire externally, especially now. You avoid recruiter fees, long onboarding, maybe paying a premium to poach someone.
All those hidden costs of hiring.
Exactly. We saw a case study of a mid-sized software company. They brought in a solid upskilling program. Their annual voluntary turnover dropped from 12% down to 7%, significant drop. And they calculated that it saved them about $1.3 million in rehiring costs over just 2 years. Direct profit impact.
Wow, so retention pays dividends directly.
Big time. And third, it fuels innovation and agility. If your workforce is skilled and adaptable, you can innovate faster. You can pivot when the market shifts or when, something unexpected happens. We saw this really clearly during the start of the pandemic, didn't we?
Definitely.
Companies that had already invested in digital skills, they switched to remote work, online sales, even new services, much, much faster and smoother than those who hadn't. It's like building resilience right into your people.
Those are really compelling results across the board. Productivity, cost, agility. And maybe we can illustrate this even more by looking at specific industries, because it's not just the tech giants doing this, is it?
Oh, not at all. It's spreading everywhere. In the tech sector itself, sure, you see Google's engineering residency program or Microsoft constantly training its sales teams on Azure, on AI. That's table stakes for them now.
Keeping their edge sharp.
Exactly. But look at finance. Citigroup launched a huge data analytics academy, training thousands of analysts, managers on data science, automation, ethical AI. MasterCard, investing heavily in AI skills for things like fraud detection, saves them millions.
Okay, so finance is heavily invested. What about manufacturing?
Manufacturing, too.
Yeah.
Siemens, for example, training factory workers to use cobots, collaborative robots that work alongside people, and they use VR for simulating production lines before they're even built. Makes adoption faster, safer.
Interesting. Using VR to design the factory floor almost.
Yeah, and optimize it. And then there's retail. You might not think of it first, but they're doing amazing things. Walmart academies teach associates how to use analytics apps right on the shop floor for inventory, customer insights, empowering the front line.
Giving data tools to everyone.
Right? And Amazon's Technical Academy is probably the most famous example. Taking warehouse employees, retraining them, turning them into software engineers. That shows incredible internal mobility. Filling critical tech roles from within. It really highlights how this isn't just about making people better at their current job, it's enabling transitions. Like maybe a statistician you already employ, upskill them, they become a data scientist, fills a huge gap, builds loyalty.
That internal mobility piece feels really crucial, creating pathways within the company. Okay, so the impact is clear, the examples are powerful, but it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the typical roadblocks, the challenges organizations run into when they try to implement these big upskilling initiatives? I'm guessing things like, employee resistance maybe, finding the time for training versus getting the daily job done,
Yeah.
budgets, especially for smaller firms.
You've definitely hit on some key ones. And what's interesting is the challenges often go beyond just logistics. They get into human factors, strategic alignment. One huge challenge is ensuring the skills actually get used back on the job. The transfer. People call it the knowing-doing gap. Anyone can ace an online course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if their actual role doesn't give them a chance to apply that new skill immediately, or maybe their manager isn't supportive or doesn't know how to integrate it, that skill can just fade away.
So the learning doesn't stick without application.
Exactly.
Huh.
Then there's that fear you hear from executives, the retention risk.
Yeah.
They worry, okay, what if we spend all this money training our people in cutting-edge AI, and then they just leave for a competitor who offers them more?
Yeah, I can see why that's a concern.
It is. It can definitely make companies hesitant to invest. But the counter-argument, which I think more leaders are starting to buy into, is much stronger. It's, what if we don't train them and they stay?
Ooh, that's a powerful reframe. The risk of having an outdated workforce.
Precisely. That risk in today's world is arguably far, far greater than the risk of losing some newly skilled talent. And finally, there's just the relentless pace again. Skills evolve so fast, the training content itself needs constant updates. It's a continuous cycle, not a one-off project. Keeping the curriculum current is a job in itself.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So given all the potential, the challenges, this constant churn, what does this signal for the future? What trends should we and our listeners really be watching in the world of work and learning?
Well, I think we're heading towards some really profound shifts. First, expect truly AI-powered personalized learning to become the norm. Imagine that Netflix of learning idea really taking off. AI suggesting modules based not just on your job, but your career goals, even how you learn best. And generative AI creating custom tutorials, practice exercises, summaries, instantly tailored to what you need, right when you need it.
Learning that adapts to you, not the other way around. Exactly. It'll make learning much more efficient, much more engaging. Second, I think VR and AR will go mainstream for training, beyond just those high-stakes technical skills we talked about. As the hardware gets cheaper, more accessible, we'll see VR used for practicing soft skills or power skills.
Like leadership or communication.
Yeah, imagine VR scenarios where managers practice handling difficult conversations or resolving team conflicts or even just improving their presentation presence and getting instant objective feedback. AR glasses will just become standard kit for many technicians, overlaying guidance on the job.
Immersive practice for human skills, too. Interesting.
And third, how we even recognize skills is changing. Think micro-credentials and blockchain. Instead of just degrees, you'll have digital badges or certificates for very specific skills verified securely using blockchain so anyone can trust they're real. This allows people to build up this portfolio of proven competencies throughout their career. It really empowers lifelong learning, makes skills transparent.
So less emphasis on the degree, more on a collection of verified specific skills.
That's the direction of travel, which leads to the bigger workforce shift. towards skills-based organizations. Companies increasingly managing talent based on dynamic skills profiles, not just static job titles or whether someone has a degree. We're already seeing major players, Google, IBM, Microsoft, many others, dropping degree requirements for lots of well-paid roles.
Really?
Yep.
Focusing purely on capability.
Yeah, focusing on skills assessments, practical tests, what you can actually do. It opens up pathways for people who learned through experience or upskilling, not just formal education. And one final crucial point ties it all together. As automation and AI take over more tasks, routine ones, complex ones, even some cognitive ones, the real differentiator, the premium, will be on uniquely human skills.
The power skills you mentioned.
Exactly. Creative thinking, complex problem solving,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, leadership, adaptability, collaboration. Upskilling in these areas becomes absolutely vital because those are the capabilities AI, at least for now, can't replicate. They're the skills with the longest half-life, the most durable value.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener. Consider how these transformations impact you directly. How might these AI-powered learning tools or maybe VR simulations change how you approach your own professional growth? And maybe reflect, in a world where technical skills can become outdated in just a couple of years, which of those uniquely human skills, creativity, critical thinking, adaptability, will be your most valuable, most resilient assets for the decade ahead? Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.